Hello, collective. Today, I would like to talk about how to use empathy to transmute circumstances that were created by fear-based programming. So, when it comes to changing our life for the better and live a more fulfilling and heart-based life, there tend to be a lot of circumstances that have already manifested because of the fear-based programming. A lot of these circumstances often result in either us or the other person being hurt within the dynamic. And so today I would like to talk about empathy and how to use that to transmute the fear-based energy that have existed in our life. This is very much influenced by nonviolent communication. I highly recommend you check out the book or the lecture for nonviolent communication. I will link that down below. So, what is empathy? Empathy is the act of completely emptying all of your faculties to truly be present and listen and absorb the other person. What does that mean? Empathy does not mean just emptying your ears out so you can hear the words of the other person. It also means that you take in their spirit. You take in their pain, you take in their experience and their complete perspective. Emptying all of your faculties mean that you are a complete blank slate and you are ready to absorb all the information that is being given to you from the spirit of the other party. And in this empty space, you could actually hear, despite the harsh words, despite anything that might have triggered you before, when you empty your mind, you can feel the pain, you can feel the hurt, the perspective of the other person, and that's what we want. Now, what is not empathy? Empathy is not advice, one-upping the other person, like, oh, I got it worse than you. It is not storytelling. Oh, this reminds me of that one time. It is not reassurance, like, oh, you got this. Empathy is not shutting down, sympathizing, interrogating, which is, when did this happen? What made that happen? And it is not explaining, educating. Your life would be so much better if you. So those are the things that empathy is not. If someone's sharing their pain with you, even with really harsh words, there's often underlying unmet needs underneath, and you cannot understand the unmet needs of the persons if you are trying to do those things. And the reason why empathy or presence is so important in untangling the circumstances that were created by fear, because it allows the life force to emerge and flow through as you untangle the fear programming that have been created in your life, installed in you and installed in the other person, and you might have been the installer of these fear-based programming. Empathy is a very powerful tool in untangling because empathy is based on truth. Truth is not who's right or wrong. Truth is that something happened and someone feels some way about it, and they have needs deep within themselves that were not met, and they are now in pain of the unmet needs. And therefore, we are utilizing this tool to connect our life force to the other person's life force so that our life force can finally flow. Sometimes empathy within us could be blocked if we are in a lot of pain, especially for victims with trauma and abuse, or even if someone who's going through under a lot of stress, they might have a more difficult time to access empathy. You cannot give empathy to someone when you don't have sufficient empathy within yourself to start with. And if you are noticing that you cannot hear the person empathically or really absorbing their perspective, what their hurt is, and stuff like that, what I recommend you do is you have a few options. You could immediately empathize with yourself within that moment when you hear the words of the person and it sounds like a criticism or an attack, and you know how to interpret or translate those things into unmet needs and feelings. But at the current moment, you cannot do that right now. I also have a video on how to translate anger and criticism into unmet needs and feelings, so please check that out. But you must have sufficient empathy within that moment. You must take a step back while listening to the harsh words or difficult conversation. And you must empathize with yourself. You must think to yourself, hey, I know it hurts. I'm sorry that you feel this way. I know you have unmet needs too. And when you feel empathy being released within yourself, in that split second, you can finally step in and continue listening and continue emptying your being so that you can hear the person's perspective. Another way is to actually step away and you can tell the person, hey, I hear what you're saying. I understand that this is really important to you, but I am in a lot of pain and I cannot do that right now. I would like to return when I feel calmer, and I promise that this is not the last time we talked about this. I just need a little bit of time. So when you step away, that's the time that you can do to either give yourself sufficient empathy. You could think to yourself, you could journal, or you could find a friend or loved one who you trust will be on your side to give you enough empathy in this regard, in your own perspective, so that you can continue the conversation with the other person and giving them empathy to untangle the damage that the fear programming has caused. Now, when you are empathizing with the person, truly taking in their perspective, their pain and hurt, here are some things that you can do to help you metabolize the message. You must continue to listen for feelings and needs and requests of the person. For example, if someone tells you, you always yell at me, you never really accept me for who I am, you never really listen to me, you always criticize what I do. Even though those are really hard words to hear, what's underneath every anger and every intimidating message is unmet needs and the feelings. So what is this person saying? They are saying, you never listen to me. We could guess that this person is feeling really hurt and agitated because they feel as if they have not received sufficient empathy, and they have a need to be seen, heard, understood, and received sufficient empathy when it comes to their perspective. So we just guessed their feelings and needs, and because we can hear their feelings and their needs underneath, and we could connect to that, we could understand how painful it must be for someone to feel like they don't matter, or that their needs are secondary to ours, or that they are afraid that they might never have their needs met. When you connect to these very universal human basic needs and feelings, that's when you can also relate. And that's when you can say, hey, I hear that. I can understand that. I can see the hurt that you've been through. I can see that you're experiencing these really difficult feelings, and I want you to know that it matters to me as well. You could also hear the other person's request, and it might go something like, I asked you to buy these things at the grocery store so I could make them for dinner, and you forgot them. That might sound like criticism, but underneath there might be a request of can you please go to the grocery store and get them for me? So learning to listen and translate criticism and hurt into unmet needs and feelings and requests will take some time. And you must remember that your guesses are not always correct. It is not about reading a person's mind. You could simply ask, are you feeling hurt? Are you feeling this because you have a need to be seen and understood and for me to be present when you are speaking? Or you could ask, do you want me to go back to the grocery store? Are you requesting me to go back to the grocery store? I could do that. Whatever it is, try to guess the person's feelings and needs and request and truly empathize with them in that moment as if they're an extension of you. That is how life forces are connected. And as your life forces are connected, and as you don't have fear because you removed your fear-based program, and you don't have anxiety, and you know that your needs will be met, and you know that you're simply working with this human being to have all of our needs met, you will find that the fear programming will start to untangle within you and within the person that you're talking to. And once the heart is connected, and now you are both establishing from a heart-based program, you can finally come to solution. You can start thinking of ways going forward, strategy to have both of your needs met. For example, hey, when I'm speaking, I just need you to be present and empathize with me sufficiently before we can move on to your perspective. And then after you share your perspective and I've also empathized with you sufficiently, let's come to a conclusion. Let's figure this out. So this process will take a little bit of time to untangle. There might be still old triggers, hurt and fear installed both in you and the other person. There might be a lot of mistrust in there. There might be, can I trust you? Because you've come to me wanting to be nice one day and the next day you're terrible to me. So it will take a little bit of time for the fear-based program to untangle, but worry not, because life force is stronger than any fear program out there. Love never fails because love is the ultimate force that propels all things forward. It's the life force energy that's already existing, only waiting to be allowed to let in. And therefore, while untangling fear-based program, remember to go back deep inside yourself and notice the fear that comes up and step back and know that this does not matter. The fear beliefs that have been instilled within me, I choose to not allow you to control me. I choose love. Now, sometimes fear does carry a message. Fear carries the message of the pain and the unmet needs deep within ourselves too. So when you are untangling your fear, overriding them with thought stopping and thought correction, please check out the video on stopping and thought correction. You must remember that sometimes you also have to delve deep within your fear and your pain and step back and use the power of meditation, of somatic programming, and stopping the critic from blaming it onto other people and onto you, and actually looking for the pain and the unmet needs deep within yourself. So there are space and time for that as well. And for that reason, fear does carry a message, and you also must have a place to process your fear properly, not just by mere stopping, not just by stopping intrusive thought, but also metabolize the pain that the fear carry underneath. This is when you can give empathy to yourself. No matter what happened, no matter if it was your fault or if it was the other person's fault, it doesn't matter. In this moment, give yourself the empathy you so deserve. Give yourself the kindness that you seek for in others. And in that space, connect deep within and untangle the fear programming, the anxiety, the worries, the anger, the pain. All of that, untangle that and metabolize that pain. And that's how you can untangle the fear-based programming also encoded within you. I hope this video has been helpful for you to untangle the circumstances that were created by fear-based programming. I hope that you choose love, not fear, and allow the heart-based programming that already exists within you to arise and to flow. Until next time.